Hi everyone, I'm Angie. I'm VP of Sales and Marketing at CROING. We're a women-founded and women-led creative agency, and today I'm thrilled to welcome you to another edition of our newsletter, Women Who Network, Stories of Connections and Success. As I always say, networking has played a key role in my career, and I have found through many conversations that it is an area that many women still don't feel confident in or need a little push to be encouraged to explore further. At CROING, we're motivated to inspire and empower professional women to feel more confident in networking. We believe that by sharing stories and experiences, we can encourage more women to connect and grow together. I'm super excited to introduce our special guest today, Christa. Thank you so much for joining us and for being part of this initiative. I'm confident that your story will motivate many women to embrace networking with more confidence. Please let us know more about you. Can you introduce yourself to our community?
Absolutely. Hi, everyone. My name is Christa Nutor. I am a social media strategist at Intel Corporation, based in the US.
Amazing. So let's dive into your story. How has your approach to networking evolved throughout your career?
I think it's gotten a lot more intentional. I think in the beginning of your career, especially when you're new to a company or to a space, it is really natural to just meet people really organically. You're just immersed in a new environment and everything is new. So networking kind of happens a little bit more organically. But over time, as you get further into your career and you get into new roles and you're more established, things can get pretty mundane and pretty static unless you make the intentional effort to grow your network and to get to know people. And so I think that's how it's changed over time. I've been really mindful of how to go about it versus just expecting it to come naturally.
I think that's a really amazing thing you just said, because sometimes we think that because we already have a job we love or we're going through this amazing corporate life, we don't need to network. But I think that's something that we always need to do, even if you're, for example, in college or even if you already have a job. I think networking can help you move forward in your career and also in your personal life. Like, you can get amazing mentors and amazing advice. So I love to talk more about people who are already in an amazing job but want to still keep networking, because I think it's pretty important. And what strategies do you use to establish genuine and meaningful connections, for example, at networking events, if you go to them?
Yeah, I need to be better at going to networking events, to be honest. But I think just overall,
Yes.
when I'm networking, meeting with people, what I try to do is at the get-go, I want to know who they are as a person. I think networking isn't about a means to an end, it's about genuine connection. And so for me, what do you like? Where are you from? Do you have a family? What are they like? Like, I just love getting to know people. And that's how I always start. That might take up the whole conversation, and that's okay because it's memorable regardless. And the connection has just begun, right? It's not an end, like, not everything has to happen in the 30 minutes or whatever that you talk to the person. So I start there and then I try to understand what they do and I share what I do, so that we have kind of that foundation. We could see where there's points of overlap and interest and things that we just want to learn a little bit more. And then I typically end by trying to find next steps, if you will, of, hey, based off of what you know about me, is there anyone else that you think that I should connect with? Or I would love to be able to do this again. Would you want to meet up again in a couple weeks or in a month from now? What kind of cadence works for you? So I think that's kind of the natural trajectory that those networking conversations tend to have, especially that first one. And then over time, you start to find where that niche is and what that specific relationship will look like, because every relationship is different. Some are going to be more pointed. This is what we talk about every time. And some can cover a span of topic or can be more casual or more formal. So I just kind of assess as time goes on and what kind of relationship it will be. But that's typically how I would start.
Love it. And can you share a pivotal moment in your career where networking played a key role?
Yeah, so it actually has played the biggest role in my career. Although I got my degree in marketing and strategy, I actually started my career in finance. I just marketed navigated my way into a finance position. And it was great because I got to learn about the bottom line, about the core of the company and all of that. And it was fantastic. But I had a 5-year plan. Hey, I want to learn this. I'm not going to regret having this on my resume. But in 5 years, I would like to be able to go back to my first love, which is marketing. And so in order to make that transition happen, I needed to network. I needed to be really clear and honest with people around me, even if they were in finance, that my long-term goal was to switch to marketing because finance was my network. Those were the people I was around. And I work at a relatively big company. And so I was like, hey, what do you think about this plan? Like, this is how I'm thinking about going about it. Do you have any ideas? Do you know anyone in marketing? Like just like asking questions, making it clear, like even with each job I took within finance, trying to see where I could connect the dots and leverage that for a marketing career. And so what's wild is one of the mentors I met through my process, we stayed really close and she encouraged me to be really open about what my goals are. At first I didn't want to tell finance people that I was planning on leaving finance, right? Like how is that going to help my career? But she told me, you're not going to get to where you need to go unless you tell people. And so I did. And it was actually her that over time had moved out of finance into a marketing position. And they had a role open up, just a temporary coverage type of role. And she was like, hey, you've been telling me that you want to do marketing. Are you interested in this role? And I was like, absolutely. So it was a coverage role that I did while I still had my full finance job and I was covering in product marketing. And so it was extra work, but I got a whole world of visibility into the marketing space, especially product marketing. And I was like, amazing. I have something on my resume that I can use now. And then because I had that on my resume, then I got another coverage position in brand marketing. And that was a dream. I was like, this is it. This is where I want to be. These are my people. This is my type of work. And that coverage position turned into a full-time job. And now it led me to where I am today in brand marketing, leading our social channels and some of our digital campaigns. Wild. We're talking Fortune 50 company over here, right? And that happened because I networked and I was clear about my goals. And that just completely changed the trajectory of my career.
Wow, what a great story, Christa. Thank you so much for sharing. And I think it's really important when you say like having your goals clear to yourself first. And then what an amazing advice of your coworker and mentor to say like you need to tell people your goals and you need to be, communicate them in order for them to become a reality. And then it is really important the part that you said like it was extra work, but even though it was extra work, you chose to do it because you were clear on your goals and now you're finally working in what you wanted to work. And it's also important that you say that you learned a lot and you went about it with a positive attitude, like with finance and everything, because I think that's really key. And sometimes the path is kind of different to what we imagine when we're studying or when we're getting into a company, but it's pretty cool that we can take those risks and still be sure of what we want and move forward. I don't know. I love this. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I love it too.
I love it because, it's important to also keep a network within the job that you're in. And that's a subject that is not so talked about, even though, you can obviously have a job and keep a network outside of the work within your industry, but also within your collaborators at the company you're in. It's really important for you to express what you want and also have objectives and goals and communicate them. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing. What advice would you give to women who are just starting their professional careers, are hesitant to engage in networking, or are already at a job and want to start networking with their fellow coworkers or with another department to make these types of shifts? What would you say to them?
I would say start with one. If it's one person that you're like, I think I have a connection connection with them, at work, set up a one-on-one meeting with them, get to know them, ask them who else they know, right? Like start with one person. It doesn't need to feel like a huge, gigantic effort. Again, I really do think that there's an element of networking that should just be natural, right? Like not, I mean, I know there's extroverts, there's introverts, but I mean, regardless, there's some natural connections that you typically feel with people. Start there, especially if you're really hesitant about the idea of networking, and then go from there. And something that I want to call out, and this is a quote from Issa Rae, if you're familiar with her, she's an amazing actress, creative, producer, everything. And she talks about the idea of networking across, not just networking up. And I think that that is just beautiful and really key to the way that we should be looking at this, because it's not just about trying to get somewhere, right? And just let me talk to this VP and this director and this because I want to be visible. Yes, there is a game of politics to play in business, but that doesn't necessarily need to be your only way forward. Networking across, getting to know your peers and your colleagues and the people who are in the same place as you is just as important. Those are the people that you're going to build with. Those are the people who you are going to grow with, and you never know where they're going to land. You never know where you're going to land. And so I would say, like, for any woman who is starting, don't buy into the women can't be friends with women or catty kind of mindset. Build with the people around you, not just because you never know where they're going to go, but just because it's important from a human perspective.
And also, it is important to mentor people. I think that's key, because I think when you mentor people within your industry or with any skill set that you have that you want to share, you realize things about yourself also, and you can, understand more about your journey. It happened to me this week. I was invited to give a talk to high schoolers that want to go into marketing, and I was like, of course I want to do it. And then I started thinking, what can I say to them, like my career change or something about networking? It doesn't matter what career you choose, you always need to build a network. So I felt like in creating this deck that I showed to them and this presentation, I realized that my two careers, like engineering and marketing, have something in common. Like I love traveling, meeting new people, understanding more cultures. And that's the amazing thing when you're mentoring people, or, you realize more about you, and you can also share and pay it forward. So I think what you just said is pretty good.
I completely agree. Mentoring it does allow you to be really introspective, and it also just feels so good to help someone, right? To be a part of their journey. I know so many people invested in me. I imagine the same with you. And so to be able to pay it forward is the best feeling.
Finally, I'd love to know, Christa, if you're part of any communities, and if you can share some of them, it'd be amazing.
Yeah, I'm involved in communities. It's a huge part of who I am and how I operate in the world. Even in the business space, there's a lot of employee resource groups, and that has been a part of my journey from the very beginning. And that is a fantastic way to network and to get to know people, especially with similar interests. Even when I was in finance, I led the ERG for African Americans, African ancestry people in finance. Almost my whole 5 years that I was in finance, I was the leader as someone who wasn't even planning on being in finance forever. It didn't matter. It was a community of people with similar interests. We were all trying to do the same thing in finance, and it was beautiful, and it honestly kept me going in a lot of ways, because the culture of a community is just so special, and it brings so much life and brings so much difference to your day-to-day work that can get pretty repetitive. So just that human connection makes a huge difference. So I definitely recommend communities. Even now in marketing, same thing. I'm part of our marketing group, and I will say this, that it's being a part of a community not only like helps you connect to other people, but it also helps to sharpen some of your skill sets. Oftentimes, a community needs help, right? Like you are contributing to the community. And so you get to identify what is true of me that I can offer to this group of people. And then before you know it, you have either sharpened a skill set that you already had or developed a new one or found a new passion. And so I think that's another huge benefit of community.
Well, thank you so much, Christa, for sharing your incredible insights with us. It's really inspiring to hear how networking has changed your journey. And to all of you listening, reading, or watching, remember your network is your net worth. Stay tuned for more inspiring stories in our next edition of Women Who Network, Stories of Connection and Success. If you want to be part or propose someone for this space, please email me to angie@CROING.com. And until next time, keep networking and growing.